could have been prevented if we had put in the proper guardrails in place, particularly in the last 1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan that the Democrats jammed through. My home state of New York, unfortunately, but not surprisingly, ranks near the top of the list with an estimated $11 billion in fraudulent unemployment payments, payments alone. These taxpayer dollars went to fraudsters, many who are from overseas, as far away as China and Russia and Nigeria, who bought luxury cars, condos, watches, designer goods. As you could see, I made a nice graph here because we haven't talked about that today. It's shocking to my constituents when we tell them that this pandemic relief money shamefully went to purchase 18-karat Rolex watches, luxury condominiums, Louis Vuitton, and other designer goods, a $10 million villa in the Dominican Republic, $3.5 million mansion in New Jersey, chartered jet services, luxury vehicles from Porsches to Mercedes-Benz to Ferraris to Bentleys. One person even received $1.5 million over a span in 10 months. This is absolutely unacceptable, and I'm glad to hear today that there's bipartisan support to crack down on this, and we must do what we can to recoup this money. But to make matters worse, my district offices in Staten Island and Brooklyn worked with dozens of constituents who have had their identities stolen and could not get the unemployment benefits that they desperately needed. Because the Department of Labor in New York failed to prevent fraud at the outset of the pandemic, the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund was drained, and for the last 2 years, the state has had an outstanding loan to the tune of $8 billion from the federal government. My colleague mentioned this earlier. I'm concerned that New York small business is going to be left holding the bag. And my question, if you can clarify, if New York continues to fail to repay its federal advance due to its failure to limit this fraud, will their per worker tax keep increasing year after year, and by how much?
That's up to the state to decide how to repay the money. Now, some of the pandemic money was available for states to use to repay their money that they owed to the unemployment insurance program. So I even think there's money, in the coronavirus relief fund that was given $350 billion to the states. I believe, don't hold me precisely to this, but if my memory serves me right, some of that money could be used to help repay the program.
Good morning, friends. I have important news to share with you this Tuesday. Top lawmakers have proposed 3 key pieces of Social Security legislation. But there is one big proposal that could gain support from both sides of the aisle. This bill could help prevent benefit cuts to Social Security. So friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video, especially if you are a Social Security recipient. Also, friends, I'll be announcing 2 winners this coming Friday for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter the weekly giveaways, friends, please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel, click and like several of my videos, and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. My friends, the more videos that you comment on, the greater your chances of winning the weekly giveaways. Millions of seniors today depend on Social Security to make ends meet in retirement. Millions more are expected to follow their lead in the future, but Social Security is facing a serious funding shortfall. The problem is that the program's main source of revenue is payroll taxes, the ones workers pay out of their earnings. But in the coming years, as baby boomers exit the workforce in droves, Social Security's primary revenue source is apt to shrink. Social Security can tap its trust funds to keep up with the scheduled benefits until those trust funds run out of money. And then from there, benefit cuts are on the table in the absence of the program having adequate funding to keep up with its obligations. Lawmakers really don't want to see benefit cuts happen, as those could spur a national poverty crisis among the elderly. As such, they've been floating different proposals in an effort to shore up Social Security's finances. One specific idea has been gaining some traction, but it's not necessarily an optimal solution. Workers who pay into Social Security can collect their full monthly benefits based on their respective earnings histories at full retirement age. Right now, the full retirement age is 67 for anyone born in 1960 or later. What some lawmakers want to do is raise the full retirement age. The Republican Study Committee budget is calling for Social Security's FRA to increase gradually up to age 70. That would leave workers born in 1978 or later with an FRA of 70, not 67. The proposed changes would not apply to anyone aged 55 or older, nor would they apply to current Social Security recipients. But while some lawmakers feel that raising FRA is a good idea, others disagree. For one thing, this shift makes the assumption that workers have the ability to hold down a job until the age of 70. That is not always possible due to health reasons. The idea of not being able to retire until age 70 may be daunting to some. If this proposal goes through, what may happen is that a large percentage of incoming Social Security recipients will opt to take benefits ahead of the FRA. Doing so means accepting a lower monthly benefit for life. But that is a financial hit that many Americans may be willing to take if it means getting to retire at a more preferable age. But if enough people file for benefits early after the FRA is increased, it might still put a pretty large strain on Social Security's limited financial resources. So while this proposal is still a viable one, it's certainly not without a flaw. So dear friends, what are your thoughts about all of this? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. So friends, inflation remains near a 40-year high. Many families are still living paycheck to paycheck due to the crisis. States have or will continue to dole out some type of financial relief to certain residents. These payments are not on par with federal stimulus checks provided for the crisis relief, but they could help households struggling to put food on the table. New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham announced her plan to deliver economic relief to New Mexico residents with the introduction of legislation that will send one-time rebates to about 875,000 taxpayers. It is sponsored by Senator Benny Shendo. Senate Bill 10 will deliver $1 billion in household relief to New Mexico residents through $750 payments to individual taxpayers or $1,500 for those who file jointly. The payments will be distributed by the Taxation and Revenue Department this summer. Senator Shendo said his rebate will help thousands of families across the state as we continue recovering from the struggles we've faced these last few years. This year's proposed rebates build on the hundreds of millions of dollars in economic relief enacted by the governor in 2022, which delivered up to $1,500 to over 1.4 million residents of New Mexico last year. Governor Grisham is also pursuing a broader reform of the state tax code that will support New Mexico working families and businesses by again reducing the gross receipt tax rate by 0.25% and then delivering personal income tax progression for middle-class residents of New Mexico. Well, my beautiful and most amazing friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. Thank you, friends, for joining me here every day and for being part of this community. I will be announcing the 2 winners this coming Friday for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you'd like to enter the giveaway, friends, please click and like several of my videos, and then do comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. Thank you, friends, and have a wonderful and very blessed week.